So, I'm Michelle. Um, I don't know, it seems like all of my videos have been a little more serious um, lately, but there's a good reason for that. Um, you see, well, I have not had the easiest life. My life story is insane. All of the craziest movies you've ever seen probably don't come close to brushing the absurdity and insanity that's been my life. Um, so how did I deal with all of that craziness? Um, well, that's why I started writing. It actually did literally save my life. And some time later on, I'll share with you some of my experiences in particular that were heavy. Mostly dealing with a massive, ridiculous amount of sexual abuse. It wasn't. I know there's going to be those out there that say, hey, okay, well, that's what caused you to be such and such and such and such, or want to do whatever. I'm not even going to go there. My life is my life. I am who I am. I'm a human being. Everything else, the things that I like, my desires, and my personality, that's who I am. The things that happened to me, happened to me. I chose how I interpreted them and how I dealt with them. And letting them affect who I am in any sort of negative or, harmful sense is just, no, I could never let that happen. I could never, I could never go there. So, if you think that I'm messed up, or any of those labels that I gave or whatever were caused by what I went through, then actually, why are you watching me in the first place? Anyway, I'm here to talk about my writing. So, while other children played with abandon, soaked up the love, and took joy in the simplest things, I spent my childhood dealing with chaos, ugliness, and loneliness. I was abused, raped repeatedly, and ostracized. I truly felt as if the world could care less about some weird little black girl. And when I turned 11, I auditioned for and got into an art school. It was in my English class that I found a way to express the turmoil, anguish, and curiosity inside of me. I started doing free writing. We journaled every day. But instead of writing about my life, for fear of others discovering the insanity I was enduring, I began writing a story. Eventually, I was writing dozens of stories. Many of the characters went through the same or similar trials that I had. Some characters simply represented ideas or perspectives that I wanted to learn more about. I've always treasured knowledge and philosophy, and I would write to explore ideas down to their logical conclusions. All of my stories carried a very heavy survival element to them, with people discovering that there were some experiences indeed worse than death. And something strange began to happen. And the people that I wrote about, they were warriors, fighting for their lives and struggling to be free. My stories became my voice, my experiment, my solace. In fantastical worlds, I created spaces where my personal story could play out. I found a way to talk about my trauma without letting it doom me. I've been writing ever since. If I didn't have that outlet, I would never have learned to speak up. If I didn't write, I wouldn't have been able to sort out my feelings and find my own sense of worth, my own sense of self-worth. If I never put pen to paper, I wouldn't have discovered things about myself and other people that helped me get up every morning. It's a journey that's far from over. There's still so many tales to be told. In fact, the biggest project that I'm working on, the Kuehl effect, will culminate with me exploring those dark memories that I kept locked inside for so long. The unique thing about my stories is that I actually appear as a character in them. So I pop in and out of the books, pissing off my characters. And one of the mysteries is, why am I actually there? So the last book in the project will actually fully explain that reason. The whole project has been a challenge to myself to grow, to learn, and to heal. My left hand begs me to spill forth those words that will rid me of that poison that I was infected with at such a young age. That poison was born of dark and turbulent times. I always find it strange that women are told to learn to protect themselves from rapists and other attackers. There's nothing wrong with that, but it never fit my case. I was a very small child when I was first abused and molested by family and friends. How was I to protect myself? How was I to suddenly realize that I could fight back when I became old enough and strong enough to? How did I ever learn that it was okay to say no when nothing in my experience had ever suggested that such things were possible? And the truth is that I never did. I never met anyone who told me that I had a choice, that I could say no, that I could protect myself. I got older and I read and read and read, searching for any answer, any glimmer. And as I learned about people throughout history and other worlds, as I watched movies where people kept persevering, as I learned to reason and think deeply, new possibilities opened up to me. I was an adult before any of those questions that I mentioned above were answered, and at that, usually only in the books that I read and wrote. And my actual story, which I'll share later, they were instances in which fighting would have meant my death. So there are actually situations in which the best way to protect yourself is to either fawn or freeze. But anyway, my stories, they were metaphors, experiments, and therapy. There were places where people fought back, froze up, suffered, and healed. The black tree in so many of my stories is the infected version of the tree of life. It had been twisted, poisoned by darkness, corrupting immortality in the universes that it appeared in. It contrasts with the tree of knowledge of good and evil, which only begat sin. That's what the Kuehl Effect Project is about, how the tree of life became corrupted, and how it might one day again provide true immortality. The differences between those who chose life and those who chose good and evil, and why life is ultimately worth living, no matter how terrible it gets. Every letter I write represents my success. Every word is an erasure of every time I felt low enough to want to end my life. Every book is a step forward with a smile on my face. They have become so connected to who I am and my well-being that I mourn them if I think that any book has been lost. My characters aren't merely cutouts. They are living beings with minds of their own. And if the price of my healing is a few thousand additional voices in my head, I'll take it. They let me know I can go on. They let me know to consider another angle. And their courage feeds my own. Like them, I choose the tree of life. Every day I get up and I fight the poison. For me, writing is a matter of life and death, and I know I would not be here without it. So that's a little bit of my story and why the Kuehl Effect Project matters so much to me. Alright, I'll see you next time. I'll try to do something a little happier before I get into the darker stuff. But you know, it's me, so there's no guarantees. I mean, you know, life didn't go easy on me, so why should I go easy on you? Don't know. Yep, we'll see. See you next time.